Today is November 28th, 2025. I am Celestine, your host for today, bringing you your Daily Silksong DLC news. There has been yes news to report for Silksong DLC today. Earlier today, a couple hours ago, there was a Bloomberg interview done with Team Cherry. This interview is very lengthy, and I will have it linked down below, but the main kicker is that they discussed the future of Silksong, aka DLC. I already spoke about a couple of things that ended up being a maybe day or a no-but day, and we get to see some of those things in here. Let's get into this. First off, we have the main TLDR of the interview. They say the exciting part to get out of the way, that was the makers of Silksong are working on new content for the game. It will likely include a certain steel assassin, named Sharpe, that was teased in a blog post long ago. But there's no set date, which I'm honestly not surprised about. On the topic of Sharpe, they had a brief discussion about him and the Village of Lions. The Village of Lions was a part of backer content that was planned for the original Hollow Knight, but never came to fruition. They say they're going to deliver on all of their promises, and that they want to add new things that will add to the game, but they're just juggling when it'll be. Moving on, the main thing about Sharpe is that they say that he is just in waiting and was tucked away because the game had so much in it. They're looking to polish things up before shipping, it seems. Alongside all of that, a very small bit saying that DLC would be a good opportunity to explore Sharpe and the Steel People. This, to me, seems like a huge hint, but we can't really be certain as of right now. Next, we have the main pieces of discussion I wanted to focus on. What's next for Silksong? They start off with talking about how they had a period of time spent to fixing and balancing. Gibson says that it was nice, it wasn't anything super significant. Team Cherry's happy with where the game is currently, and they don't have anything super dramatic planned just yet. Small changes and fixes will still be coming our way, but they're looking into what can come next. Additionally, with what's next, they spoke about how quickly DLC came out for the original Hollow Knight. The nature of DLCs for Hollow Knight weren't very large. Gibson recounts how that now, since Hornet can speak and have her own mind, that expansions will include how she feels. This, in turn, increases the scale of any expansions they decide to give us. I left the best part of what's next for last. They talk about the size of future DLCs and what they were looking to do. Gibson leads off with a simple yes. They'd been thinking about different things arriving at different scales. That may mean bigger things like Godmaster, which they acknowledge people are really wanting. A big piece of this is from Palin, who says that they were talking about the next project in general. They aren't thinking about size. They just began starting to work on new stuff and bits and pieces of content. They're still in Silksong, wanting to figure out what new stuff they can bring. Gibson recounts how it was interesting working on how to expand an already massive game, to make sure you don't dilute or overwhelm with the new content. At the end, they say that Silksong might end up gargantuan by the end of development, if the access to said content wasn't hidden. The interview also included a section about timeframes and timelines. Starting off, it seems that they do have stuff coming in a reasonable timeframe, that they didn't plan 7 years for Silksong. Gibson continues saying that they're still using the same development philosophy, which might make development take longer. Team Cherry was asked if they have any timeline in mind for new content, and Gibson had a few things to say. Firstly, he said that there was some big ideas, but nothing set. When important news arises, they'll communicate. The nature of upcoming announcements aren't quite the size of the release date that people had waited years for, and they will be proportionate to what's coming. They're still excited and not trying to downplay anything, it's just that they don't want to overpromise, which I think we can all get behind. The last thing regarding DLC and the such, we have a section about what the time left for Silksong is before they move on to the next game. Helen says they haven't thought about the time and are mainly focusing on the ideas that they have. The stuff that they want to put into the game. They say they do have other games that they plan to make, but their main time concern is death. Gibson says that it's not too far off if each project is 7 years, and to potentially add another 2. It would be nice to do more games, according to Gibson, but their time frame still allows them to put a few more games out, and it's short of an unexpected tragedy. Lastly, mixed into everything, we get a mention of the Coral Gorge and its cycle of development. They start off with describing how the Coral Tower was associated with a whole town and area. Gibson speaks about how the area got pulled forward in time and essentially killed off. The liveliness of the area was going against the narrative they were trying to tell. They wanted to convey how the Citadel really consumed the areas beneath it. It was jarring to having a super lively, inviting, welcoming space. It ended up reducing the drive of the story and the character of it all. Additionally, they also explained how the Coral Gorge evolved and wasn't simply good content. The area was turned into the Sands of Karak and the Brass Steppes. They say it's still beautiful, in a way, it just contrasted to what they had before. There was also some mention of other content, but you can read that yourself. I'm done writing. I think that's all for today. Personally, this makes me really excited for what's coming next. I've been speculating about DLC content for a while now, I figure, but I'm mainly looking forward to what Team Cherry wants to give us. That's it for today, November 28th, 2025. See you tomorrow.